Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I'm so delighted to be joined by the very talented Portlynn. Portlynn, lovely to see you here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You gifted us with the amazing movie They Won't Last, but for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip.
You have a ring, don't you?
I don't!
Oh my god, you do!
I don't, I honestly don't.
Alex?
You need to lie down. You need to lie down. This is bad for your nose, okay? Just calm down.
You need to lay down! Oh my god.
Portlynn, I'm so sorry that we can't be doing this in person, but I'm delighted to virtually have this experience with you today. Thank you for your film. Like, oh my goodness, I have so many burning questions, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
My film, They Won't Last, is a story about a couple that go to a friend's wedding, and afterwards, the couple is the guy is extremely into romance and he wants to get married, and the girl is very, commitment adverse. And so the guy, Alex, has planned to propose after the wedding, and she gets wind of this, and finally when she can't escape and he does corner her and proposes to her, chaos ensues. So
That's exact chaos ensues, definitely so. It's brilliant. You don't realize the journey you're going to go on. If you've been on this journey, you're going to see it. It's a lot in a short space of time, and it's brilliant. Where did the inspiration for the story come from?
The inspiration for this story came from, I had just graduated undergrad and I was living alone in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I didn't have very many friends at my disposal. So I just went home every night and would just end up hearing my neighbors having really loud sex.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I had these neighbors and they were having just the loudest, most descriptive sex at like 3 a.m. while I was trying to sleep. And I remember thinking, wow, this is annoying, but also they love each other. But then after they'd have sex, from 3 to 4 sex, 4 to 6 a.m. was like an argument. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, horrible arguments about like the most petty things. And this would happen for I think it happened for 6 months, as long as I lived there. And I just remember kind of becoming kind of obsessed with them and just like their dynamic and how they obviously hated each other, but they stayed together. And the arguments were the kind of arguments that like a 5-year-old would have with another 5-year-old. And it was just like really fascinating to me. And I was like very, very single. And so like I was in this position where I was growing lonelier and lonelier after like being in undergrad, where you're like in dorms and you're constantly around people. And it was my first experience living in LA. And if you don't know anybody, like it's not like I want to go anywhere in LA. So I was just kind of trapped in my apartment, listening to them argue about like how she was a 30-year-old intern and he was a 25-year-old doctor who thought that she was a skank or something. And so I just kind of found it really fascinating just why they were together. And I realized, I was like, oh, they'd rather be unhappy together than be lonely like me. And so I kind of, took that into account, and I wanted to make that film. I also just watched Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh yeah.
I really loved that film, and I just loved kind of like this, like they need each other. They need each other to like be unhappy together. And I had kind of wanted to make a film about my neighbors to submit as a film for getting into film school at AFI. That ended up not happening, but I ended up getting into AFI somehow, and I wanted to make that film while I was there. I didn't make it for my first film, but I wanted to make it for my thesis, and I changed it to a wedding, just to kind of like make the theme really stick. And I was like, okay, well, like I come from a storyboarding background and animation background, and like in undergrad in animation school, you have to tell stories in like 90 seconds. And so I'm very, very aware of like, how do I say what I need to say in the most concise space? So I was like, it should be at a wedding. He should like the escalation of their relationship shouldn't just be like they're having an argument about the relationship. Maybe they break up and then they just have sex. It should be, he's going to propose and this is now or never. He needs to give her an ultimatum. And then there's like, I don't want to ruin the ending for anybody, but there's an ending, and I always wanted that ending.
It's
But
brilliant.
yeah.
Well, listen, amazing you, and I'm so glad you gifted us with this talent of your story from very real circumstances that you had to live next door to. And I mean, that's why we asked this question, because, you know, what an amazing answer to that. Um, I said in our little pre-grim, I was like, it was one of the best openings I've ever seen in any short film. And I watch a lot of short film. It was so entertaining and good. And it speaks volumes about you that you come from animation background. Cause I was like, you've just captured, like, my mind is running wild with all the things that are going on in this. Like, I feel like I've just watched a feature film, and it's because, you know, you are used to squeezing things in, you know, in tight spaces, which what you got to do in animation. So I love that. I love the opening music that you gave us. It was this whole scene that you set that was just like unreal. Like, it was mouth-wateringly good. And so I really enjoyed that. So how was that? Like, I'm just so curious, because, you know, there's that, you know, some films, you know, you kind of have, even with, and comedy's really hard as well to have that dynamic that kind of capture, even the way that it's shot. How was that opening scene for you? Because that looked like epic, and I was like, whoever's directed this is a bit of a genius going on here. How do you do that?
Wow. Thank you. Well, how do I put this? Well, so I had never done it. I had never done live action before, coming to AFI, and this is
scary.
It was scary, but I like scary. Like, I kind of, I don't know. I always think, like, you know what, you only live once, so like do the thing that you want to do, even if it scares you. Because like, if I'm on my deathbed as like an old woman, I want to do the thing that scared me, as opposed to like missed out on something. So I was like, you know what, I want to go to film school. I'm just going to go to film school. And I signed up to do a lot of the jobs that I was scared to do, because I was like, I'm paying to be here. I want to like get as much of an education as possible. And I don't want to like have gone to school here for 2 years and then graduated and then like wished I had been on more sets doing first AD work, or, you know, doing more of this or that, because otherwise you'd be in the real world and there's more stakes. Like, there's a reason why you're a student. So I was just really grateful for kind of like learning what you could do with blocking and staging with a camera and actors, and kind of taking what I had learned from storyboarding. The whole first sequence, I actually storyboarded it, ended in animatic with the song, and I had found the song on Spotify, and like, I love like Seabird. Thank you. I'm so glad we got this song. I love like elevator music, like Muzak.
Yeah.
And I found this Spotify playlist with like a bunch of music, and it like made radio stations from different ones, and it got me to this song. And so I like presumptuously made an animatic for the opening with the song in it, being like, you gotta get the song. And, you know, things changed, but we shot it. We like, we had to do video storyboards as well.
Yeah.
And we had tracked it, and I knew I wanted it to be slow motion, but like, it's so funny, when we were shooting it in slow motion with Steadicam, and my DP was like, I don't know if this is too slow. Like, this might be too slow. And I was like, oh no, are you sure? I don't know. So like, for a while, there's like a few shots where we shot it multiple times in like slow motion and then at normal speed. And we just realized like 3 or 4 shots into doing that it was just like, it was going to take too long. We weren't going to get everything we needed. So we just had to make the choice of like, okay, it's going to be slow motion. And then it worked. And I was like, oh yes. Okay, good. But no, that was something that I had envisioned in the beginning when I was even pitching it, really. And I was working with my co-writer, and we weren't sure about it. And we actually wrote an alternate opening that was very much like the 2 characters talking about how they felt about relationships.
Yeah.
And we kind of like went through that, and we saw it, and we were like, this could work. But I was like, you know what? I really do believe that we can tell this story visually. And also the rest of the film is so dialogue heavy that it feels like it needs to have that balance of like having the like the thing that's great about music videos is that you get the mood of the song, but you get the visual storytelling so much. It's just like a dream. Like, you get to feel it because you're seeing what you need to see without the extraneous like background sounds or anything.
Yeah.
So I just felt like that
I love that you did that. It was lovely that it started like that, and then this, you know, eruption of explosiveness of dialogue is what follows. It's so unexpected as well, which is great. Which leads me to say, like, you know, writing, you know, co-writing a comedy, writing a comedy is not an easy feat, and you've also got to get the right actors to be able to kind of like, you know, have all the timings and everything else. I love your actors, like really did. You know, your leads were so good. They played off so brilliantly to each other. They were hysterically funny. Tell us a bit more about sort of like, you know, the kind of writing dynamic of comedy and how that was for you, and then finding obviously your perfect, you know, actors to take on those roles.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about comedy, but I am better at comedy. I can't explain it. I remember I was pitching this film to work with different, because AFI is like, you're a director, you're in the directing track, you're a writer, and we have to get our team together. And I was talking to someone about, you know, teaming with me potentially on this film, and they were like, aren't you worried? And I was like, why? They're like, it's a comedy, it's hard. And I was like, is it though? I really don't. Maybe I'm arrogant, but I think it'll be fine. And then I started getting really much in my very much in my head about it, because I was like, I think I'm funny.
Yes.
But it was fun because I think with comedy, you know, you have like a rhythm that you're trying to go for, and I really wanted to hit that dynamic with their dialogue and getting that rhythm just right. And I watched a lot of reference. I love The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I just really love how I've always been a fan of Amy Sherman Palladino and Gilmore Girls, and I really religiously watched a lot of things that I felt had kind of that back and forth and that punctuation of like this or that, or people talking over each other and not listening. And I do that. My family does that. And I think there's like a humor in the neurotic narcissism that exists with that. Like, the comedy shouldn't come from the jokes. The comedy should come from the characters just being themselves and in a room together, that creating comedy. So that was really fun. And I know that it wouldn't have succeeded if the actors didn't, like, it was very delivery heavy. Like, if you delivered the same lines differently, I don't think it would have worked. And it was interesting to have like worked with various stand-in actors and seeing how each of them approached the writing and the rhythm together. And I had worked with some stand-ins for class and some stand-ins when we were blocking and doing pre-work just visually. And it was amazing just like how the actors that we ended up casting, they just got it perfectly. Like, other people might have been like close or here or there, but when we had the two actors in the room, I was like, oh my gosh, this is how I pictured it. Like, this is it.
Is that a great feeling to have when that happens? It must feel really good.
Yes, it was kind of crazy because when I was working with a casting director, it was my first time working with a real casting director, and they sent me the tapes. And I remember Jack DeSena was the first person for the first audition tape for Alex that I had seen. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. The rest must be like even better. And like, it just wasn't, he was the best. And because I remember seeing it and I was like, he's him. And it never exceeded more than like Jack's performance. He just like knocked it out of the park immediately. I feel like I was spoiled. And then Brittany, just like, I remember I had originally thought of the role of Christine being like a brunette, like darker in spirit and also like visually darker. And she like came in and she like, I wanted a blonde for the bride because like everyone that I've seen in my research of like bridal things and weddings are blonde, and I just wanted that kind of like, she's like picturesque. But Brittany came in and she was amazing. And I was like, oh, I don't know. She looks more like what I thought of for the other character. And I was like, nope, I have to change everything. Like, I have to change everything because she's the perfect Christine. So, and we didn't get to do a chemistry read with them. And it was great because it was almost like taking a chance, especially I'd never like casted that way without a chemistry read. And when they came to the first rehearsal and just like met each other, and we improvised some like backstory. I like to do like improvise like where you met or how you met or like a deep conversation you would have had, and we kind of like get to learn a sub world with the characters, and they like hit it off immediately, and it was really great, and on set they were amazing to work with, and I just feel like I'm so lucky to have had them involved. And then also coming from animation, I like didn't realize that Jack was the voice of Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, well, there you go. That's exciting.
I know, and then all my friends were geeking out. They're like, "You got Senna."
That's so cool. Oh goodness, I forgot. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, because I mean, there's certain films where, you know, your film it had to have brilliant actors, and I'm so glad that you found them, because, you know, you set the room and the stakes and the experience, the whole thing. It just had to go to that extra level, which it went to perfectly. How has it been? I mean, we loved having your film with us at New Filmmakers LA, but you know, it must be so nice to have an audience see your film, because it just makes people feel good. You know what I mean? To watch it. How has it been for you?
It's been really cool. I had like an interesting experience where I wasn't sure if my film was working. For like various, like I had showed it to some people who were like, I don't know if I get it. And then I showed it to like a completely different group of people, and their reaction like gave me hope. They were like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. And I was like, I don't know who to trust here. And then finally, when we did our first screening. So the second years, those are like the seniors. It's only a 2-year program. And we kind of all know what each other's films are. And like, we've heard the pitches, nothing surprising. So a lot of times our test audience is the first years. And they'll see their own films, and then they're kind of forced to stay in the theater after their class is over, and they're given like papers. I think they got rid of the papers this year, but they're forced to stay there, and then they have to watch one of the second year's thesis cuts, like first cuts. And I remember we had, I was so nervous, I thought I was gonna throw up, and we had to sit in the back, and all the first years who like, they don't care about you. They're like, they'd rather go eat something. And they are forced to watch this like 15-minute thing. And we sit there and we're watching it, and they start laughing. And I was like, oh, they're laughing. And then they start laughing at everything. And like all the right moments, they were having a good time. And I could feel them having a good time. And it was like, oh God, now I have to throw up for like a different reason. It's like a throw up of joy. And and I think we got like a standing ovation. It was crazy.
Oh, how great! Deserved.
Thank you. It was very surreal and kind of amazing, and like I'll never forget it. But from that point on, I felt like, okay, well, we have a film that at least some people like, and I will sit in on screenings with people, because I just really like hearing them laugh. And
yeah, well, you have Portlynn. You have a really fantastic sense of humor, like, you know, and I think that is, you know, half the battle to make and create great comedy. So, you know, I really, you know, I'm so glad that you're going to continue to make more as well. It's very exciting. What is next for you?
So actually, I'm currently working for Netflix Animation. I'm a board artist again. Yay.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's been really lovely. Netflix is a wonderful company to work for, especially during a pandemic. Like, I don't know if they want to put that on their brochure, like, if you want to work during the pandemic, Netflix. No, they've been great, and I'm very excited to be working with them. But like, I think I've been very lucky, like, being able to work from home. I'm writing, so I've just finished a draft of a pilot that I'm trying to put together a pitch deck for. And as well, I actually just wrote a short this last week that I'm hoping to, like, it's very quarantine friendly. So I'm trying to see if I can maybe like get that funded or work on that. And then I'm also in development on a feature that I'm writing about and I'm not like scared to pitch it, but it's about when I was in the 6th grade, my mom had to go to the doctor for pneumonia. She had to go to ICU for pneumonia, and I had to stay with my 6th grade teacher during Christmas to escape Child Protective Services.
Oh.
So it's like but it's comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to develop that. I actually got in touch with my 6th grade teacher recently to like,
Oh.
yeah, I like was searching for her for years because she kind of saved my life.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, that's so great. You got so many really wonderful ideas. You know, it's very exciting. I'm very excited just to keep seeing more of your projects because you know your film was very entertaining and I love it. So I just want to say for you personally, anytime you get a great idea, just write it down and turn it into a film because I love how this one got created out of something that you'd never expect would turn into a film. So you know, we can dedicate this film to that couple that inspired you to this film. But listen, Portlynn, you're so talented. Thank you so much for bringing your film to us, and please just keep making more for us.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. I really appreciate it. I'm very proud to have been a part of New Filmmakers LA in the month of July of the quarantine.